People who are 40 plus and happy with their life, what is your advice to people in their 20s? I'm 40 years old and I have 3 pieces of advice for anyone in their 20s. 1. Accept that perfection doesn't exist. Your relationships will have problems. Your car will break down. Someone will always have a better phone, a newer car, or a bigger house than you, no matter where on the social ladder you stand. Constantly chasing perfection will keep you permanently stressed. That doesn't mean you should not try to better your life. Just know that if you expect perfection, you will never be satisfied. 2. Pay attention to your diet and health. I've been working out at least 4 times per week since my mid-20s. I'm fitter, healthier, and look younger than almost everyone else my age. 3. Don't stop doing the things you love. Even though I have a wife, kids, job, etc., I still make time to play video games, draw, write stories, read comics, play basketball, listen to music, etc. There's no reason to become a miserable old bastard. Edit. So, quite a few people have asked how I find time to fit in all these hobbies. As I said, I have to make the time. Apart from working out, which I do at 6 a.m. before everyone else wakes up, I'm not doing these things every day. I only game on the weekend if I get the chance. I read books on my phone when I'm killing time in the day. I may buy a comic 2 to 3 times a year, and I can usually find a few hours in the week to draw. I still make time to chill out with my wife in the evenings and do things with the kids. I just fit my hobbies in between them. I also don't watch much TV or go out, but that's just me. I agree with this. Adulting is basically just time management, and it's something that you don't really come to appreciate until you get a little bit older. The reality is that you have enough time to do whatever you want. You're just choosing to forgo doing one thing in order to do another thing, right? It's just opportunity cost. So by simply rearranging your priorities, pretty much any hobby is, chaseable in your adult life, I believe at least. Story 2. I'm 40. This is my input. 1. Everyone is focused on themselves to care too much about their opinion of you, so F what they think. 2. Social media is only an illusion. 3. Zero debt is an amazing feeling. Think twice before dropping that down payment on that fully loaded 2020 Dream Mobile that offers nothing but looks and depreciates value quickly. 4. Falling out of love is perhaps more powerful than falling in love. 5. Use up all of your vacation time / sick time at work. 6. Don't lose sight of the hobbies you enjoyed as a child. They will help you live as you grow older. 7. Family is not necessarily blood, but instead who you would bleed for. 8. There are just as much benefits to being a night owl as there are to being an early bird. 9. Forgive yourself first before forgiving others. 10. Do not be a doormat in submission, but hold the door open in kindness. Story 3. I was a raging alcoholic in my 20s, and I thought I would never recover from it. I never found a real job using my first degree or my master's. Part of it was because I was always drunk. Part of it was the job market at the time. I went back to school in my 30s and found something I like a whole lot more. Now I'm married, nearly 10 years sober, and have a great job. My point is, if you end up on the wrong path or don't like where you are, there's always time to turn around and change it. Too many people just assume they're stuck where they are and stuck with the issues they have. I agree with this point too. It's never too late to change. I see people all the time in their 30s, 40s, 50s, attending college classes, getting degrees, making radical career changes. One of the worst things that you can do is just kind of sit tight and settle with where you are in your life. So there is absolutely no hard, fast rule that says once you're 22, you're locked into your career for life, and that's it. So if you're not feeling it, if you're feeling unhappy, look into making a change. Story 4. It's not a race. Stop comparing yourself to others. Just because they did things sooner than you doesn't mean they're happier or better. Try to start good habits. It's a little rough at first, but in a few years it will be second nature. Do this with things like cooking, cleaning, saving money, and self-care. It's okay to not like someone. It's also okay to have someone not like you. People are going to not like you for no reason. That's okay. It's a them issue and not a you issue. Don't be an ass to everyone and give them a reason to dislike you, but also know that you're under no obligation to put up with someone else's bad friendship. There's no shame in seeing a mental health professional. Story 5. When I was 22, an older gentleman asked me how old I was and then told me, "Chad 303, when you're twice that age, you'll be twice the man you are today." I almost considered it a slight in that moment, but time has proven him wise. Here I am, twice that age, and in my humble estimation, twice the man than I was then. I believe this chiefly because I've learned that kindness is not a weakness. Humility serves you better than pride, and cruelty is a fool's game. Story 6. Don't put yourself in ridiculous amounts of debt trying to portray a certain image. You'll spend your entire life trying to get out of the hole you dug, or you'll have to declare bankruptcy. Set aside enough money to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses for emergencies, just like now. Moreover, save now for your retirement years. It doesn't require much, and if you have it taken directly from your paycheck, you won't be inclined to not pay yourself first. Take care of your body. Exercise to maintain a healthy weight and good cardiovascular health. As you get older, it's much harder to maintain these. Enjoy the days of your youth without going overboard. There's nothing wrong with having a good time, yet if you're always waking up wondering what happened last night, why you can't remember how you spent so much money, or you always have a hangover, you should tone it down a bit. Don't take advice or criticism as a personal attack. Most times, the people who care about you have observed behavior in you which is off-putting, doesn't reflect who you really are or could be, or would make you a more rounded person. Story 7. It's never too late to start again. All of my 20s, I thought I couldn't just restart my career or dump a useless boyfriend or go back to school because I was already on a certain trajectory. Made my choices, now I gotta make the best of it. That's total bullcrap. You have no idea how incredibly young you are and how much time you have to do whatever you want to do. When I figured this out, I found the man of my dreams, I had a kid in my late 30s, dropped my entire career in my late 40s, and starting a new one at 50, and it's awesome. If you're sad or upset or frustrated with life, that's okay too. You have time and it will pass. You have no idea what comes next, and you have so much time to explore. I'm still figuring things out. Story 8. Go have an adventure of a lifetime. Don't put it off. Make plans for your money. Stay out of debt. You don't need that new car, watch, handbag, etc. Material items are not worth your sanity. Have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Don't waste time on anyone who disrespects you. Have a backbone, but don't be rude. Not everything needs your reaction. Find someone who you can spend endless time with. Talk about ideas, not people. Above all, F what everyone thinks. I'll be 41 this year. Story 9. I'm 46, and here's what I know. 1. Money is important, but it's not the end-all be-all. It will not listen to your problems or hug you when you need it. 2. Watch your weight, your blood pressure, and do not smoke. 75% of my patients that have the most serious diagnoses have at least one of these factors. 3. Comparison will rob you of joy. Be happy for others, but don't feel you need to be like them. 4. Let go of the little things. Stress will kill you. 5. Chase your dreams. Life goes by so fast. You don't want to be 80 years old and regretting not traveling, pursuing your passion, etc. 6. You cannot change someone. Whether a friend or a partner, their faults will not, quote, get better, and you cannot rescue them. Don't waste your life on toxic people. 7. Make a point of performing kind acts for others. It will greatly enrich your life. Now, go get your life. Story 10. When I was in college, I had the chance to go to Europe, but I passed because I had to work at a warehouse. I picked staying at a part-time warehouse job over seeing the world. When I finally went abroad in my 30s, it changed my perspective about everything and everyone. Go to another country that is far away and different than your own. Story 11. Figure out what is important to you in life. A shocking amount of people never do this. The sooner you do, the better off you'll be. It's important to me to be able to take care of myself and have enough left over to support those I love. If I'm doing that, it's hard to get down or be worried or care what other people think of me, etc. I'm still going to pursue my career and other interests. I just don't have anything emotionally riding on their successes, at least not in relation to my own sense of self-worth. I'm not doing a fun job or an inspiring job. I'm doing one that pays the most for the least work. For me, that's okay, because with the excess time, I can spend it with people I love. With the excess money, I can help pay for my friends who didn't get to go to college to do it now. I can take time off at a drop of a hat to fly across country and help in a family emergency, etc. There's the phrase, live so God can use you. I'm not religious, but I do value the idea of setting your life up so when an opportunity to do something that you care about, that matters, arises, you're in a position to do it. Figure out what you want for yourself and what you want for others. It will make planning and achieving it easier. Edit. As a lot of people are asking me what I do, I work in tech. Probably unsurprisingly. I basically decided to get a degree in math instead of English because one had much better job prospects. Though I do like analytics and solution architecture and all that jazz, I definitely use that time to read the Iliad for the 4th time if it paid the same. Also, to be clear, I'm not advocating for this path, just that it's important to understand the path that you want and make sure you're on it. It's just as important to not work a job you hate, to make time for your passions, etc. I've worked nearly 30 jobs in my life, with kids, construction, lumber yards, tour guide, nursing homes, you name it. I'm good at compartmentalizing and just really don't mind what I work on. So getting the most return on my work is a clear metric to focus on. If I got a lot of my sanity and sense of satisfaction from my job, I'd 100% work with kids or in education instead. Story 12. 70. Born and living in Australia. Very middle class, all my life, but never a landowner. Always renting, generally very happy and satisfied. No need to be materialistic. If you live in a fair and civilized nation, no need to marry, nor have children. No need to prove yourself to anyone. Just accumulate many skills and talents which will not go out of fashion. In my case, science studies, incomplete, Bachelor of Science, counseling and group work, many kinds, business and admin skills, technology, including many academic and computer areas. Happily married, boringly normal for the last 25 years. Internet, technology, politics, etc. are so interesting and thrilling. Story 13. Maintain your friendships. In 20 years, you will be so grateful for those people who saw you through marriages, children, illness, and health. People who will go for a trip with you, love your kids, remember you as a young person. Friends are essential, but they require work. Don't be alone just because you don't want to be the person who reaches out to others. Story 14. Honestly, if you want more career satisfaction, be as positive as possible at work. I mean it. I'm cynical by nature and thought everyone around me loved my sarcastic one-off comments. Every meeting, I would demonstrate biting wit at the ridiculous corporate bullcrap being peddled. If there was a failure, I was there to point at it and laugh. And if success, I was always there ready to keep it real for folks. Apparently, my attitude and sense of humor were not as appreciated as I thought. Then, disaster struck at work a few years ago, and my skills were needed more than ever. Now, mind you, I had been passed over a couple of times for promotions. I was salty about that because, and I'm being honest here, I was a really good candidate and am regarded quite well in my industry. I was stunned at missing out, and my dissatisfaction was not kept out of sight. Well, back to the disaster. For some reason, I took this opportunity to shut up and be a positive team member. This particular problem, not virus-related, would have allowed me to sit at home, get paid, and do nothing while everything got sorted. A paid 2-week vacation without dipping into PTO. Nice. Let the suits sort it out while I laugh at their awkward attempts to right the ship, snickering with coworkers via personal emails. I was really looking forward to pointing out inconsistencies and ambiguous language in their directives. I was practically giddy with excitement with the prospect of watching them fall on their faces. Instead, I put on my big boy pants, went to work, walked in the boss's office, and politely asked if there was anything she needed. For 2 weeks, I worked my ass off. Did everything I was asked, kept my pie hole shut. God, there were opportunities for serious humor. I took a lot of initiative, and throughout I was positive and pleasant. At meetings, I would offer constructive comments, take notes, and follow up on items, even if I wasn't asked. I had become the dreaded try-hard. Then the calls came, from everywhere in the organization. How do we do X? Can I do Y? Mind you, in the past, I would have provided a slightly sarcastic reminder of my scope of duties, which didn't include doing their job too. Instead, I was positive and cheerful. I was happy to help them get through the crisis. After the disaster subsided, I did not revert back to Mr. Point out how stupid everything is, and kept a positive and cheerful demeanor. I kept my comments to myself, and went home and shared my list of comments I could have made with family. I noticed the more positive I became, the more people seemed to want to work with me, and the more responsibilities my boss heaped upon me. So I kept at it. Not 1, but 2 promotions came, with significant raises, and now I'm in a position that I really enjoy. Had I only figured this out in my 20s, I might have gotten where I am more quickly. One caveat: if your work is a suckfest, don't be afraid to move on, with a positive farewell email and pointing out how much everyone meant to you. Story 15. Go to therapy. Figure out what your insecurities are and why you have them, and how to deal with so that they don't define the rest of your life. Talk about your issues from childhood and your teens. Yeah, everyone has issues, even in their 20s. If you don't do it now, you'll make decisions based on or driven by those issues, and that will put you on a path you may not like. Story 16. Fail to plan? Plan to fail. 1. Identify your goals and values. Don't confuse a step towards your goal, a job, for the goal, peace of mind and happiness. 2. Don't fight reality. Reality is all there is. Don't waste time wishing it was different. Don't invent things that are not true. Reality is enough just as it is. 3. Make choices based on your new framework. goals and reality. Small daily choices are super important. Story 17. I'm financially happy, so my advice in this regard is to not use your credit card unless you're 100% sure you can pay it off that month and it's not a burden. Don't go into debt. I'm also happy with my children who are polite, intelligent, and happy themselves. My advice there is to always be true to your word with them and always say please and thank you. Story 18. Don't marry someone because you think it's something you have to do. The same goes with having children. I've done neither, even though my family has always hounded me to do so, and I'm incredibly happy with where I'm at. I can't think of how miserable I'd be making commitments like those just to make others happy. Put yourself first, people. Story 19. Choose your mate wisely. It should feel like you're spending every day with your best friend that you have fun with. Don't do it for money or looks. You'll be miserable. Don't get too much sun, drink too much past early 20s, or smoke. That will age you quickly. Invest in good skincare. Don't fall into the debt trap. Make yourself listen to Dave Ramsey on YouTube and understand it's better to have $1 million by 50 than a fancy car today with the same amount of money put aside. Eat more veggies and fruit and less meat and dairy through the week. Your body will thank you. I'm 51 but feel like I never left my 20s and 30s and went back to school at 39 and started my second life. There's always a day to say, I'm reinventing myself. I'm about to do it again. Also, lastly, cut your BS friends and family. No time for users, abusers, or anyone who takes more than they give constantly or verbally demeans you. They will never stop and you'll never miss them. Learn to say no now. Set boundaries. If this is a problem for you and you resent always saying yes and being a nice person for jerks, read boundaries. When to say yes and how to say no. It will be life-changing because stress is also a killer. That's my just woke up in the bed brain storming stream of consciousness. Must go find coffee now. Story 20. Wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for your future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proved by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice has no basis more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice now. Enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You will not understand the power and beauty of your youth until they've faded. But trust me, in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way you can't grasp now how much possibly lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You're not as fat as you imagine. Don't worry about the future. Or worry, but know that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. The real troubles in your life are apt to be things that never crossed your worried mind. The kind that blindside you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Do one thing every day that scares you. Sing. Don't be reckless with other people's hearts. Don't put up with people who are reckless with yours. Floss. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive. Forget the insults. If you succeed in doing this, tell me how. Keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't feel guilty if you don't know what you want to do with your life. The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do with their lives. Some of the most interesting 40-year-olds I know still don't. Get plenty of calcium. Be kind to your knees. You'll miss them when they're gone. Maybe you'll marry. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken on your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much or berate yourself either. Your choices are half chance. So are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance, even if you have nowhere to do it but your living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Don't read beauty magazines. They'll only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be nice to your siblings. They're your best link to your past and the people most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but with a precious few, you should hold on. Work hard to bridge the gaps in geography and lifestyle, because the older you get, the more you need the people who knew you when you were young. Live in New York City once, but leave before it makes you too hard. Live in Northern California once, but leave before it makes you soft. Travel. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander. You too will get old. And when you do, you'll fantasize that when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone else to support you. Maybe you have a trust fund. Maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse. but you never know when either one might run out. Don't mess too much with your hair, or by the time you're 40, it will look 85. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. Dispensing it is a way of fishing the past from the disposal, wiping it off, painting over the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it's worth. But trust me on the sunscreen. Story 21. You're never too old or too deep into something to just start over. If you aren't happy, do something else. I've read about people taking up marathons at 50. For me, every day is a potential for a new start. Don't like how I felt yesterday? Then I guess I'm doing something different today. I'm 50 now. So much left to do and so much time to do it. Story 22. Find yourself a good person to be in a relationship with. Looks will fade, but that personality will be there forever. As you age, your friends will pair off and you'll find yourself hanging out with them less and less. They will have kids or move away and you'll find yourself either alone or with your partner during 99% of your free time. Humans do not do well being isolated and alone. Finding a healthy relationship is so important and no one really talks about it or just tells you to focus on your career. Having someone in your corner that always has your back will make life that much easier. Find someone with the same goals in life that you do and hold on to them. Hard. Marry a brain, not a booty. Story 23. After high school graduation, get some sort of job, education, or training. Even the crappiest entry-level job is better than no job or being on assistance. Plus, when you're working or going to school, you're not spending money or getting into trouble. You don't have to go to college right out of high school, especially if you have no idea what you want to study. Actually go to work/school, no matter how early you have to get up, how much it sucks, or how much of a jerk your boss is. Work leads to opportunities for better jobs. Most every job I've had has been the result of knowing someone I met on a previous job who put in a good word for me. Don't have kids before you get married. Don't put yourself in situations where you might end up with kids before you get married. Don't get married until you're at least 21. Marry someone who shares your values and not just someone who's really hot and fun. Looks fade, but character stays pretty much the same. If you have a passion for something in college and it has good employment prospects, then go to college. But do not get a student loan, no matter how tempting. Work, apply for grants and scholarships, whatever, but do not get into debt. If that means holding off on college for a few years so you can save up, so be it. You don't have to go to a traditional four-year university. Go into a trade or the military. College is always still an option later. Live below your means and be sure to pay yourself first. Put some amount of money away every month/pay period into an account you can't get to easily, then live off the rest. That may make for a pretty meager existence for a while, but you'll be surprised at what you can get used to, especially if you remind yourself this is temporary and greater things are to come. Down the road, when you have some money saved up, invest it wisely. Don't expect to get rich quick. It's a slow build, but the wait is worth it. Talk to an advisor or an actual wealthy person for advice, not your buddy who found a sure thing. Don't buy stuff just to fulfill yourself or to impress those around you. After a while, too much stuff begins to own you instead of the other way around. If you have the money to spare, buy experiences, vacations, trips, whatever. They don't take up any space, and the memories stay with you forever. The only debt you should ever take on is a reasonable fixed-rate mortgage, preferably a 15-year, but a 30-year that you refinance later is okay too. Don't even go into debt for a car. Save your money and buy a decent used model. Learn to cook and maintain your house and your own vehicles. Be patient. It takes time and effort to build a comfortable life, but it's worth it. Story 24. Don't buy new cars. Don't buy that house with an extra room. Don't buy anything until you have an emergency fund saved up. None of those things feel as good as not worrying about money feels. 3-bedroom house isn't necessary. An emergency fund is necessary. If you can't afford the house and the emergency fund, that doesn't mean you can't afford the emergency fund. It means you can't afford the house. Emergency fund is non-negotiable. Story 25. Make decisions for yourself. Don't ignore the long-term ambitions for short-term fun, but definitely don't live the life that someone else wants you to live. Every dollar you save and invest in your 20s is worth a hell of a lot more than the ones in your 30s, 40s, and so on. If you're going to spend money, spend it creating experiences with yourself and other people. It's almost been kind of a cliche for the latest generation that you should only spend on experiences, but I don't give an F about a sound system or computer I had 15 years ago. I do care about the friends that were made. Story 26. I'm not yet 40, but I have some ideas. Go on that adventure you want to do. Don't do anything that will put you in jail. Don't do anything that will lead to a baby until you've given yourself time to be an adult for a while. Don't stick your dick in crazy / don't let crazy stick it in you. If you must, double up on that birth control and make sure you control one of those methods yourself. Don't spend on credit what you don't have, close to that amount saved in the bank to pay it off. Keep your daily expenses low to save for that adventure. Network and don't burn bridges. Stay neutral to toxic people, but keep them at a distance. Allow your actions to define you, not your words. Do everything you say you will in a timely fashion and do it well, and you'll be viewed as reliable and it'll secure your friendships and career. If you're suffering from mental illness, don't blast it on social media. Go get help. Don't sign the lease with your partner unless you've been with them for a year. Story 27. Do some exercise. Stay out of debt. Learn people's names. It's a good habit, and you never know where it might lead. I got lost in a third world country, but remembered the son of the guy who owned the hostel was called Pan. Picked up by someone who called someone who knew him. Without having chatted to him and learned his name, I'd still have made it back, but it would have been way more difficult. Travel and be okay with having the confidence to just live out of your backpack and see where things take you. It really prepares you for later life. Over 2 years, I was lost in the jungle, swum between tropical islands, run over hot coals, slept in weird places, worked some crazy jobs, and hitchhiked around Asia with a buddy. And it makes you very resilient and good at seeing solutions in difficult times once you're older. Story 28. A lot of people get their future planning priorities wrong in their 20s. Generally, I found people in their 20s prioritize job, relationship, place to live / lifestyle. Really, the people I found are happiest in their life have done their planning in the opposite direction. Place to live, lifestyle, relationship, then job. This might seem a bit weird, but hear me out. A job isn't any good if you have to live in a place or a lifestyle you hate, or not be able to have the relationship you want just to have it. No amount of money will make up for being miserable. Likewise, a relationship might be great, but if you're living a lifestyle that makes you unhappy, then it will put strain on the relationship and will ultimately make you unhappy. Figure out what kind of life you want and make that the basis of your other planning for the future. Whether that's a fast-paced downtown city lifestyle or a slow country lifestyle or a comfortable suburban lifestyle, living the way you want will give you a strong foundation for happiness. So I've never really thought of it this way, of doing that order of operations in reverse, but after thinking about it, that's actually very, very good advice and way to explain it. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and co-sign that. Double down. Story 29. If you aren't sure you want kids, make sure you are sure before you have them. I dodged a couple of bullets over the years and don't have any kids. I see and hear all the crap other people have to go through, and I don't think I could handle that level of stress in my life. I'm very glad to be childless. Of course some people love kids and should have lots of them. That's just not me, and it might not be you too. Story 30. Stack that paper. I'm in my 40s, and if I had been smarter with money, even putting it in an index fund, I could have retired by now. I don't regret buying the Porsche, but I did need to spend $20+ a day eating out, and the same amount or more on drugs. Just on a Monday, for 2 decades. I didn't need the $2,000 a month apartment in a trendy neighborhood where I lived in my 30s. I'm still happy because the rest of my life is great, but financial freedom while I'm still relatively healthy would be heaven. Story 31. Partying / drinking has a time and place, and it's not every day. Why go off on a great adventure in an amazing place if you're just going to spend all your time getting drunk? You won't remember as much as you could. Pictures are great, but memories are better. Save, save, save. It doesn't matter so much what you do for a living if you don't have to live paycheck to paycheck. I think what's going on now is proving this more than ever. Story 32. I'll give a bit of relationship advice. I had the most success with dating when I didn't force it. I was in a good place in my life and went on dates and met people because it was fun, not because I was looking for a relationship. The times I felt lonely and intentionally seeking a relationship were the least successful times. I'm sure I came across as lonely and needy, which isn't a good combination. Be yourself. Make peace with who you are and focus on being your best self. You'll have much more luck finding someone who wants you to be that best self. Oh, and avoid narcissists, controlling personalities, set boundaries for yourself. Your mental health is worth it. Trust me. Story 33. 1. Make more than enough to pay your bills and live how you want to. F that just follow your bliss crap. I know too many actors and artists who are miserable and overstressed because they're broke. Instead, go into a field that pays better and have hobbies that are blissful. 2. See the world and meet people from all over. Don't wait. You don't know what will happen to the place or yourself. Meeting people from elsewhere teaches that there really are many ways to skin a cat and differences are fun. 4. Have friends and acquaintances of different ages. There is wisdom on both sides. Besides, at 54, you might enjoy babysitting your neighbor's kids. 4. And I didn't do this one. Don't get fat. It's very hard to lose it. Story 34. The secret to happiness in life is low expectations. Having unmet expectations makes people unhappy. Keeping your expectations low ensures that they are met more often. Don't confuse this with being cynical all the time. Be optimistic and work in good faith. Just keep your mind in check with how any given event will turn out. Story 35. Mediocrity is okay. Pick your fights for perfection carefully or you will be constantly disappointed. The perfect job, marriage, kids, neighbors, car, whatever, does not exist. Time has a way of making you realize this slowly, but as soon as you're able to come to terms with the fact that most major events in life are made of compromise, the better off you'll be. Example, when you're a new parent, you have a very idealized of who and what your child will become. 20 years in, and you're just happy that they're a decent human being and haven't ended up in prison. Yeah, so I actually disagree with this take. I don't think there's anything wrong with being ambitious. I don't think that you should just settle for being mediocre and settle for the mundane, ho-hum, go through the motions of life. You know, as the old cliche goes, nothing in life worth having comes easy. You know, you've got to work. If these things were easy to come by, then absolutely everyone in the world would have exactly what they want, but that's not the case. So if you think like this person, then you're never going to achieve your dreams. So I disagree with this. Be ambitious, chase your dreams, and go after what you want. Story 36. Invest in yourself. Formal education or some kind of training to perfect whatever it is you're going to call your craft. Understand the difference between needs and wants. Spend the minimal on the first and forego the second. Save and pay cash. Stop using credit cards or financing options because you don't have the patience to wait a few months or a year to get a new something. Don't feel the need to have the newest, best, brightest whatever. Buy the $30 jeans rather than the $80 jeans. Your real friends won't care about what you wear. Separate yourself from toxic people or friends that are not on that path to better themselves. When given the choice between being right and being kind, always choose kind. Story 37. Travel early, before starting a family. Diverse experiences allow you to broaden your worldview and adds tons of perspective. Work hard, no matter the job, do it to the best of your ability. It pays off. Don't keep up with the Joneses. Live within your means and, when possible, saving for the rainy day. Story 38. Work on building skills. Doesn't have to be a degree, just something that you know you can use that others will want. It will give you a means to support yourself and get back on your feet, even if you lose everything. Build assets. Avoid liabilities. Don't stay in mediocre relationships, romantic or otherwise. Travel and see the world, especially to places quite different to your own. Travel really helped me get a new perspective on how I saw the world and made me reevaluate what my culture had taught me. I realized much of what I assume is normal and typical is simply cultural and arbitrary, and I can choose to change it. Story 39. Except that it doesn't always work out in the end. There's no magic balance that says if something awful happens, something good must happen later. Not always winning or being happy is part of life. The sooner you find the tools to accept that, the sooner you can achieve your goals. All of the tangible actions mentioned here are reflections of understanding your values. Figuring out what your values are hasten the maturation process. The reason people say go on adventures is because it forces you to understand yourself. And honestly, get off Facebook and Instagram. Story 40. Get your finances in order. 1. Figure out how to save. It's a discipline, it's a habit, it's not easy, spending money is fun, and it seems a shame to just leave money sitting there. Start saving now. When the fecal matter impacts the oscillating machinery, you'll be glad to have that money just sitting there and having accrued interest. 2. Make a budget. Actually stick to it. 3. Pay off your goddamn credit cards. Seriously. Don't assume that you're going to find one single thing that you're passionate about and that it's going to be your career for the next 40 to 50 years. 1. Hobbies aren't wastes of time. They can save your sanity. They can provide a second income. They can provide creative satisfaction. They are refuges of solace when the stress of your workday is threatening to break you. 2. Some hobbies turn into careers. 3. Be open to change. Changing careers doesn't mean you've wasted time with the first one. It means you're bringing all of that experience into a new line of work. That's a huge advantage over someone else at the same entry level, who's starting their first job and has never worked before. Stop worrying about getting old. 1. Do foolish but legal things. Laugh, play, dance like no one is watching, and apologize to those who were. Adulting is about handling your responsibilities. If those are handled, see number 1 above and number 4 below, you've earned the right to play. Act in theater, learn to skateboard, pick up juggling. Practice your Rick and Morty impersonations in the bathroom mirror until you're ready to do them in public. Then do them in public. 2. Exercise. No, seriously, work out. Get a personal trainer who will motivate you. Shop around. Figure out what you can afford. See 1.2 above. Once you become fluent with fitness and have learned to listen to your own body, you can do it on your own. Don't assume you know how to work out if you've never been guided before. You probably don't know. Like saving, it takes discipline and can seem pointless at first. When you get older, coming into it with a healthy body makes all the difference. Be kind. It's free. Being difficult will always cost you. Friends, jobs, opportunities, experiences. No one ever gets to their deathbed and thinks, wow, I wish I had been a bigger douchebag. If your life's narrative is that your boss is out to get you, your friends don't respect you, your family hates you, and that you just can't get a break, realize that the common denominator is you. Take responsibility. The older you get, the less tolerance everyone around you has for listening to you whine, and watching as you wait for life to hand you happiness in a gift wrap box. You're as happy as you choose to be. Remember these 3 things. 1. Courage is deciding there's something more important than being scared. 2. Given the options of risky growth and safe stagnation, choose growth every time. And 3. Planning and preparation will overcome anxiety every time. Story 42. Stay out of debt. Cut out frivolous spending. Save as much money as you are able. Buy a duplex and live on one side and rent out the other. By collecting rent, you may be able to completely cover your mortgage or at least cover a nice part of it while you build up equity. Get out of any relationship in which you are settling and find comfort in being single until you find the right person. Do not be afraid to say no to anyone. Keep your pets indoors as much as possible. Maintain your car. Learn how to change your own oil and keep it as long as possible. Story 43. Don't smoke. Don't be obese. Take good care of your teeth. Protect your hearing. Meditate constantly. Give yourself a non-negotiable 8-hour sleep opportunity every night, ideally at the same time each night. Do not have kids outside of marriage. Do not get married before age 23. Learn about money, budgeting, debt, investing, finance, etc. Read and study Marcus Aurelius Meditations and Gregory Hayes' translation. Read a lot. Lots of nonfiction, history, biography, autobiography, philosophy, research-based psychology, etc. Constantly expose yourself to ideas and arguments you disagree with. Are you right-leaning? Expose yourself to lots of left-leaning ideas and arguments. Are you left-leaning? Expose yourself to lots of right-leaning ideas and arguments. Develop the skills of being punctual and organized. Being consistently late and disorganized is an ineffective way to go through life. Think very seriously about whether or not the time and money of a college degree is worth it for you. It might be, it might not be, but don't do it just because. When choosing your job/profession/career, ignore the horrible life advice to follow your passion. Instead, you should follow your aptitude. Identify what you're good at and find a way to use it to bring value to others. Work like crazy to do that. The happiness/meaning/life satisfaction will come as a result of being able to build a good life for yourself and those you care about. Practice humility. Reality is complicated. The truth of the matter is that you probably don't know how to end war in the Middle East, end poverty, or solve any other of the world's problems. If you live in the United States of America, you should learn about guns. They are deeply embedded in our culture. If you are pro-gun, you should understand the thing you support. If you're anti-gun, you should understand the thing you oppose so you can make intelligent arguments against it. Find a skill-based activity that you can work on and improve at over time. Piano, calligraphy, jiu-jitsu, golf, whatever. It's good for humans to have something they're constantly working on improving. Contempt is one of the most destructive emotions/attitudes there is. If you find yourself working for or with someone that has contempt for you and or your work, be wary. Also, be very mindful and cautious when contempt for someone else or what they do starts to arise in you. Don't blame things that are out of your control before you've taken care of things that are under your control. As an example, if you are obese but also don't eat right, don't exercise, don't get good sleep, smoke, and drink too much alcohol, then don't blame genetics for your obesity. After you've taken care of those other things, if you are still obese, then you can talk about your genetics. Story 45. Live cheap. Buy a beater car for cash every few years. Making payments on an image purchase is silly right now. Learn to cook recipes on the internet and shop around for the best quality for the price groceries. You'll eat better and stay healthier. Walk outside every day, weather permitting. Figure out something you love to do and find a way to do it for a living, working for yourself. Learn to meditate and do it every day. Take love slowly. If it hurts, it's wrong. Let go. Go to bed early. Wake up early. Buy any small property as soon as you can. Only spend big on real estate. And for God's sake, use birth control. I love you. Story 46. Not in my 40s yet, but been happy with my life for a couple of years now. Here are some things I learned that I think helped me live a happier life. Learn to say no to people, situations, and things. Distance yourself from negative people, regardless if they're friends or family. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but this will really improve your mental and emotional health. Choose your friends wisely. Be very picky with people you let into your life. Just because you're in the same class or same workplace doesn't mean you automatically have to be friends with someone. Also, treat like family the friends who have been true and kind to you. Travel while you're still young and single/childless. I know you can still travel when you have kids, but it's a totally different type of travel. Enjoy the fun and freedom of traveling unencumbered by a child's needs and energy, or lack thereof. Save, save, save money. Learn how to not care about people's opinion about you. My formula for this is this person important to me and vice versa? Will I die for this person? Then their opinions matter to me. Everyone else's, I just shrug off. This takes years to learn though. Exercise, and if you can, do yoga as well. Story 47. I'm not 40, but I'll answer anyway, because I'm fairly happy with my life. Your self-worth cannot be given to you or validated by anyone or anything outside of yourself. You have to find your validation from inside you. You are the only thing that can make you happy. You won't be happy when that person falls for you, or when you get enough money for that house, or when the crisis du jour is over. These are things we tell ourselves to avoid facing that we aren't happy, and had to put off facing ourselves and our own issues. If you're not happy with something in your life or within yourself, then change it. Make a realistic goal, then a plan, and take steps every day to achieve it. Story 48. Don't be too cool to be safe. Some injuries can't be undone. Protect your hearing. Hearing damage is cumulative. Just because your ears don't hurt at that concert doesn't mean you're not doing permanent damage. If you don't want to be that 55-plus-year-old person that can't hear, or even worse, have tinnitus. I know a lot of older, interesting people I avoid conversing with because they can't hear me, and nobody wants to repeat things over and over. Story 49. I'm 51. I've thought about this quite a bit because my 3 children are in their 20s. Respect yourself. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Listen to other people's opinions, but make your own choices. Do not be afraid of following the path that is right for you. Skincare. This is not just for women. Wear sunscreen and moisturizer. I've had skin cancer and it's not fun. Protect your skin and you will look and feel healthier. For God's sake, start your 401k, retirement plan, with your first adult job. Don't wait. Don't think you can't afford it. You won't miss the money, and many companies match your contribution up to a certain percentage. Also, you look amazing and you have strength and stamina. Enjoy it. Story 50. Travel. Your 20s is the best time to just up and move. Set out on an adventure. I spent the whole of my 20s moving around the U.S. Worked on detailing private jets in the D.C. area to living on a 26-foot sailboat off Key West and working at a bar there. So many of my friends back home just did the graduate, college, marriage thing. The farthest any of them have moved is like 5 miles from where they grew up. If that's your thing, then cool, but don't settle for it just because you think you're supposed to. I just turned 40 a few weeks back. I have friends in 30-plus states and more than a dozen countries I keep in touch with. An open door and place to sleep is always offered for a quick vacation. Spend your 20s meeting people, seeing the world or just a few other states. Travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness, and many of our people need it sorely on these accounts. Broad, wholesome, charitable views of men and things cannot be acquired by vegetating in one little corner of the earth all one's lifetime. Mark Twain. I completely agree with this. I don't understand how people can live out their entire lives within a 15-mile radius of where they grew up. You make the world so small for yourself by not getting out and exploring and moving. And, maybe you're just comfortable and change is scary, but man, I could not agree more with this and encourage you to just get out and see like other parts of the country that you live in or the world as a whole. Don't shrink yourself into just this tiny compartmentalized box, and definitely don't do the whole career marriage thing if you don't feel ready for it. There's no blueprint on how to live your life, right? You don't have to do these things, so don't feel obligated. Do what you want to do. Story 51. Do not seek riches. If you are comfortable financially, and that honestly just means the ability to get by without stressing about it constantly, then you're going to be fine. Wealth is insipid. I spent years of my life chasing down money, and all it got me was a drinking problem and 5 hours of sleep a night because my boss would send my emails at 1 a.m. and expect a reply. None of this crap matters unless you're in genuine trouble, in which case my advice is irrelevant. If, however, you have a nice home of whatever size, the means to feed yourself, and the ability to go and chill out in your chill out location of choice sometimes, then you will be a happier person than the person who brings in $200K a year but never sees their partner or gets a good night's sleep. On that note, sleep. Seriously, when the time comes, stop looking at your phone or computer, maybe have a bath, read a book, then crash out at the same time every day. As soon as you have a routine in place, you can maintain it forever, and you will sleep peacefully and awake and rested. The world is a chaotic place, full of pressures and stress. The best we can do is try to not increase them. Peace is better than money. Story 52. If you're young and active, a lot of your sins will make only a very little impact on you. You'll run and play contact sports while eating whatever you like and drinking like a fish. You'll be told that your self-destructive behavior will catch up with you in your 40s and 50s, and you'll smirk because your injuries heal so quickly and you either don't gain much weight or you can do what you want to, even with a bit of chub. The problem is that as you age, it will all start catching up with you. Hangovers will get more intense. Weight will go on and stay on. Injuries will linger. Eventually, they'll never quite heal all the way back. I'm not saying you need to stop what you love, but a bit of moderation earlier might head some very unpleasant things off at the pass. Source: I'm a former rugby player, type 2 diabetic with multiple soft tissue injuries who about crippled himself this winter through a bad fall on ice. Story 53. Watch out for competitiveness and FOMO. Stop and look around at your life from time to time. See what does and does not need fixing and why, and be honest with yourself about those things. Your intentions matter. There will always be someone out there who will be richer, smarter, more beautiful, more talented, or has more and better stuff than you. And you will always be richer, smarter, more beautiful, more talented, or have more and better stuff than someone else. There's nothing wrong with striving to improve your life, but if you're constantly pushing towards the next fancy gadget or gizmo or the hottest piece of tail, you'll never be satisfied. The old saying from the 1980s of "he who dies with the most toys wins" is baloney. He who dies with the most toys is still dead. Story 54. Embrace your youth. Embrace not having back pain. Start saving as much money as you can. Go to college. It's never too late. I got my first degree when I was 32. Take better care of your skin. Take exceptional care of your teeth. Start thinking about your future. Invest in 401k or some other means of retirement. Pay your taxes and file them on time. Take lots of pictures. Save them somewhere safe. Store all important legal documents, birth certificate, car title, social security card, etc., in a safe or some place they can't be lost or destroyed in the event of a catastrophic disaster like a fire, flood, or earthquake. Use a condom, always. Have fun, but be safe. 20 years goes by unbelievably fast. Story 55. I'm 35, but a few tips at this age. 1. Avoid subreddits like financial independence. Fire at all costs is just as toxic as YOLO mentality. There are people seeking FIRE, financial independence early retirement, who are idiots willing to sacrifice everything. Their health, their safety, their friends and family, all so they can finish early. You only get one shot at life. Being miserable for a couple years is a terrible way to lose the best years of your life. 2. Stop caring so much about what other people think about you. 3. Check in on yourself from time to time. What really makes me happy? Am I working towards the goals I had in my life? 4. Opinions are linear, not static. They can change. It's okay to admit when you're wrong. Story 56. 1. Trust your gut. It knows. 2. Do your thing. You'll have plenty of naysayers in your life or from what you see on social media, but if you're true to yourself, you won't regret anything. 3. Put yourself in other people's shoes more often. There are 7B+ interpretations of what the F is going on, and none of them are the same. 4. Travel. If you travel far enough, you might actually find yourself. 5. Love hard, even if there's a chance of getting deeply hurt, and you will. 6. No matter if you're having the crappiest day ever or the best, realize that the fact you woke up that morning and are experiencing whatever this is pretty amazing. Story 57. My advice is to not listen to people like us too closely. We grew up in a vastly different America than you did. The circumstances of our ascent don't have much in common with what you're facing now, and what you're likely to face in the decade ahead. With that caveat out of the way, a point comes in life where it's more important to pick a path and follow it through to the end than to continue sitting around worrying about whether it's the best path for you. By all means, if you have such options, try to position yourself on a road that will get you something more than money out of your journey. But woe to the traveler who never takes the first steps because he's too worried about his own gratification. Fairly warned be thee, says I. Protect yourself from either accepting everything that people try to tell you, but also from courting baseless contrarianism. We live in profoundly stupid times, and some of you are too young to understand what I mean by that because you've simply never known a different world than the one we're currently enduring. Social and intellectual life was not always like this. Something happened, and I'm not exactly sure what. You'll have to ask better men than me. Paranoias, persecution complexes, political extremism, anti-science rhetoric, it's not exclusive to one group, though some will exhibit it more than others. It's everywhere now, and I do mean everywhere. It's become virulent to the point it's tearing families apart and provoking acts of violence. Social media is at the center of it, though I will personally stop short of saying it's the culprit simply because, as I said, I don't have the information to back it up. But my a-hole meter's needle is buried in the sand, I can tell you that. These times won't last forever, and when they break, those who gave themselves over to unreasonable ideologies won't have a place to lay their heads anymore. Be careful. Save as much money as you can. Like I said, my generation is from a different period. We had those luxuries. I'm only too aware many of you do not. I don't know what to say or do about it. You don't have to drink all the alcohol in your 20s. Some younger people seem to get this idea in their head that after X age, they're never going to have fun again. It's true that adult life loves to squeeze out the fun bits and replace it with nonsense, but you have a lot of weekends ahead of you to enjoy, which you will have a lot of fun in well after your 20s are a distant memory, so long as you don't drink yourself into the morgue. It happens all too frequently. You don't owe love and respect to those who are dangerous to you and those you love. In these touchy-feely times, that probably won't be received well, though. Life isn't a movie. The good guys don't always win. Hell, there aren't always any good guys. You cannot hug away most of life's problems. Edit. After reading a lot of this thread, I'm going to add, be very suspicious of anyone telling you to save or stay out of debt, not go to college and to travel. These are people who had it easier than you in life and clearly do not understand that the economic hardships of modern youth are different from those we faced when we were young. The world is just full of privileged older people who don't understand that they were, in fact, privileged. It's cancer reading some of my fellow middle-agers' comments in this thread. You are blind and are doing an evil thing downloading your ideologies into the minds of young people who don't have your advantages. Story 58. Wow, I'm actually the target group being asked for once. My advice is simple. Keep working hard. Keep growing yourself. You think you were done with grad school? And don't expect any handouts because nothing in life is free. You'll pay for it eventually. Then, one day, you'll look at where you are and realize you've made it. And that place may not be what you envisioned, but it will be a very contented one. Story 59. Make conscious choices. Don't live someone else's dream, especially if that someone is an advertising copywriter. If you spend the next 20 years licking the boots of the next person up the corporate ladder so you can get a job that you hate to pay for your 2.2 children's private school and a drive-in refrigerator to gratify the now flaccid partner you once found attractive, and then you wake up one morning to realize you always wanted to be a crofter in the Scottish Highlands, you're going to be very sadly disappointed. Story 60. Almost there, but not quite 40. Two of the best tips I received from anyone 40 plus was, 1. Don't get married until you're at least 30 years old. Your 20s are an amazing time. Explore, see the world, take risks. You don't want to look back and say, should have done this or that. Hang out with your boys/gals and enjoy the freedom before planning on settling down. Marriage is a very serious business, and just like any investment, improper planning can lead to very disastrous returns in the future. Your future spouse may be going through the same feelings. 2. Invest in your retirement now. Utilize your company's 401k options immediately as they become available. Put at least 10% in to get your company's maximum match and then some. Then, whenever you receive an annual raise, increase your 401k similarly so your investment grows and you don't feel much of an impact. Soon, saving will become second nature and you won't even feel the loss of income, but will definitely see your money grow. Story 61. The universe doesn't give out merit badges for being the person you think you're supposed to be. Be who you are and find people to be in your life that like that person. Learn how to eat healthy early. There's a book called The Obesity Code that's some good advice. If you think there's something wrong with your body, persist with your physician until they have an answer as to why. Second opinions are okay. Remember, the person who graduated last in their class in med school is still called a doctor. Finally, don't wait. Crap is never going to be perfect. Don't wait until you have the right house, the right car, the right job, and the right friends. Some windows and doors have a nasty habit of closing on you when you least expect it. If you only ever follow one piece of advice from me, it can be summed up as seize the day.